Me. Oh my God. There we go. I forgot to put my beard on this morning, you're right. I left that beard at home. People are gonna know it's a fake beard.
I think it's also just important to keep in mind that there's like other impacts besides just funding the game, and that like if we now go get a publisher for this game, then it suddenly like voids everything we've said about the project and everything we're trying to do.
Where do we leave off? Oh, that's right. Game was too big, company's gonna close down, didn't have any money, and Cloud Colony wasn't done.
Like, because right now, you know, it looks like, you know, the plane's kind of diving down a little bit, and we just need to, we have time to pull up. And
what does the plane diving down stand for?
That stands for
crashing.
Yeah.
The whole company crashing into the ground.
A lot actually. Well, I mean, right after that episode aired, right after that episode aired, we started Amnesia Fortnite. So the team kind of took a break from everything for a little bit there.
Amnesia Fortnite is coming up, people. And you forget what we're working on for 2 weeks. That's where the name comes from. We split the company into small groups, sometimes 4 or 5 groups, and each group has to make a game in 2 weeks.
But I think ultimately that was an amazing process, and people had a great time and just came back really energized after that. And a lot of progress has already been made in this month since then. Things are definitely moving along quicker, and we're starting to address a lot of potential ways to help make production go smoothly and on a lower budget than it's looking like it could.
There's scope, and then there's money, and then there's efficiencies, and I've never seen it solved any other way than all of the above.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some scope reduction, some efficiency improvements, some extra money.
Yeah.
You know, we've been working on simplifying some stuff. JP's come on, and we've been trying to look at things in the spaceship we can simplify. We cut some room, cut the teleporter rooms, cut some simple stuff, but it's more like an ongoing thing of simplifying it as we go. You know, you want to make the game. Most of the backers, I think, would be unanimous in saying they want a great game, right? So they're trusting me to use a judgment of like how much to cut that still makes it a great game, and they don't want us to cut more than that. So we've been working on that problem.
I'm not privy to what's actually going on the scoping side right now, although I hear that they're making some progress. On the funding side, I was able to bring in a few deals that don't require any kind of creative control. So like Brutal Legend PC, which to me is potentially, you know, better on PC than it would be on console because it's an RTS, so it has RTS elements. It's never actually been released, and it's got, you know, a huge amount of music already licensed in it. So we moved that up, and, you know, we're looking to release that pretty soon. And all, or you know, some or all of those profits will probably go back to Reds.
I mean, he like for one of our other games, he found a licensing deal in Korea, you know, so there's extra money and revenue that can come in through that. And that's kind of stuff I can't whip up a Korean licensing deal on my own. I have no idea. Who do you even call? Do you know any? Well, and we actually are, we got such a response to Myas's print from the last episode that we're now selling the print. Each one is a new line of dialogue that I can put in the game, so think about it that way.
I don't know how much money is actually going to be enough. So for me, like my mandate is more, because I want Tim to be able to completely check out, and when he feels the game's done, then it's done.
New addition to my office. It's pretty exciting. There's nothing much on it yet. Oh, except there's a Reds milestone right there. I want to see how that goes. We're working on all kinds of things throughout the whole studio. But when it comes to Reds, where I come in is more about how can we control costs.
And it still is adding up to 6.5 months of tech work, so we gotta find out.
Oh, that's just even split out across all the...
Well, it was 8.5 months before. Yeah.
But that actually makes sense to me, and that is kind of like a relief.
Yeah.
More needs to be done to really understand what's left to do and how long that will take. Really like kind of refactoring all of our assumptions about that schedule. Really, I think getting some project management, attention on it. Matt Hansen coming in and working on kind of that Uber schedule so we can really plan out, what's happening a little bit more down the road.
So obviously Greg's already the producer on the project, but it's super important for the studio, really important for us. And it's one of our completely self-funded projects, so it's one of the things where it makes sense to bring on additional production help to make sure that we're running as effectively and efficiently as possible. So it's kind of, I have some expertise from working in adventure games in the past, so I think that's something they wanted to bring onto the team to help make it go as smoothly as possible. I'm actually pulling a lot from my experiences on those games to understand how to schedule the game, scope it properly, and stuff like that. I still have the remote deployment harness is something I'm going to talk to Tim about. I really want to push forward on that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really helpful for debugging the game later on.
Yeah. I agree. I think otherwise we're just going to shoot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been helpful. I think it's just like, it's nice to be able to kind of hand that off to him and kind of get ahead of things a little bit. It's going to be really helpful.
Developing an engine and a game at the same time it's always been a challenge for a lot of different games. You'll hear that as a common story for a lot of games where they're, it's like Limbo is a good example, where they're trying to develop the engine for Limbo, they're also trying to create the game at the same time. It's hugely challenging. All right, that's it. Thank you very much. Cool. I'll start laying this out, and then let's talk about it maybe later.
Yep.
Or next week.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, man.
So that's been huge. I think that having additional gameplay programmers added to the team, but who have design experience, that's probably helping.
Yeah, we just added a handful of people to the team, kind of staffing up a bit, and it was people that were on the cave, and that just shipped, obviously, a few weeks ago.
Well, we shipped the cave on 742 platforms. I think that's good news. Anyway, I just, a toast to everybody, and he just did an amazing job on the cave. And now what you have all really been waiting for, cake.
Scoop it up with his hands, put it in with line up.
And so they just are wrapping up their final tasks and bug fixes for that and stuff. And as they become available, we're just trying to figure out what makes the most sense for them to be working on. And right now, that is Reds. So we've got someone from every discipline added to the team and kind of helping to lighten people's loads and add some extra manpower to the game.
Everybody's here. Okay, awesome. Jaylee's film crew's back. Not that you noticed. I'm sure you guys are all. For those of you who've not ever been filmed before, just if you ignore them, really, they're just they'll catch you picking your nose. So that's the rule for them.
Too big now. I don't know if I can do this.
I know. Look how huge we are. Let's get this over with. Okay. Yesterday I was going to write those last 3 things for the Cloud Colony, but I did a whole bunch of other project review stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to pick up on it. Anna was teaching me a whole bunch about the systems that she wrote on the gameplay side, which is mainly what I've been working with. Just figuring out how dialogue. I've been a lot of my work has been wiring up the dialogue trees. We got the writing from Tim, and then we got Scratch VO, so I wired that up so that you can pick, tell me more, or what about this, or see you later.
Guess you're better at spotting fakes than the other birds. Hey, can you take me here to my home? You can? Great! Ever seen this place? Great, can you take me there right now?
I enjoy all phases of a project. If it's a good project, then it's fun to be in on the early inception where you're getting to help really make big, important creative decisions. It's fun to be in the middle where you're producing stuff, you're building it, and eventually you hit that critical mass where it's like, yes, we have a game now, we know what we're building. And then late in the game, if you're not stressing out too much about fires that you have to put out, it's really fun to see the last few steps come together and really feel like you're putting polish on something. So all of those are cool. Yeah, and I think we're very much in the middle. We're kind of in the early middle on this. So yeah, no, I've worked. I've led stuff before, but also just been in the trenches guy. So, depends, if it's a good project, then I'll enjoy, and I can contribute something substantial to it. That's all I really care about. So.
What were they telling you about the project from the very beginning?
That it was on budget, on time, everything was great. You're gonna go home early, no overtime. And then I saw episode 7, and I was like, No, they just the normal stuff. They were just like, would you be interested in DFA? And Tim wants you on that project so bad. He's always talking about Dave being on the project, so.
We got Dave Garner, famous fan of Eco and Shadow of the Colossus.
That shit is so awesome.
And Adventure Games. Yeah, Dave Garner's here because Adventure Games are not dead.
Adventure games are not dead.
When I came on, initially, the characters have so much style in them. The first thing that I thought about was I'm just gonna focus on animating real subtle stuff and focus on the face and focus on the eyes. That stuff's important in films and stuff, but we don't usually do that stuff in games. But I feel like that's one of the things that we want to try to do with this one. This was when we were experimenting with what kind of an attitude should he have, sort of blank look on his face that's kind of bored because he's on the ship and getting sick of the stuff, and he's got his idols will be he's just overall he's not too stoked on all of the stuff that's going on the ship. But then when you start playing with him and explore, like we were saying, it'll start getting really cool, and he's just gonna be like, oh my God, this is awesome. A lot of people aren't really gonna notice that, but hopefully some person is oh yeah, that's really cool. That boy, I've seen him change throughout the game, which is not something that I've really done with a character in a game before, is have them go from, one character type and actually end a hero's journey having gone through an emotional journey as well. So, which is something you see in movies, just not so much in games.
Who else got added? We got Lydia. We've had Lydia for a little while. Lydia's a great effects artist and technical artist. Does a little programming on the side. Small teams, everyone has to do a bunch of stuff.
Generally, I just go through and just try to add things wherever I can, because with this cloud colony, the more there's little support ambient effects, the more alive it feels.
I think this ground looks so pretty now. And the little dust and the poofs and everything.
Yeah, that back is gorgeous.
And look at that thing up there. What's happening up there? Is that 3D?
Yeah, well, that's an old PlayStation 1 trick. We just took the texture and put it on crisscross polygons, and just spun it around in 3D.
Oh, now I hate it. Now that I know how to cheat, now I hate it. It looks amazing.
So here's a new thing that we're trying out, is actually using a 3D element in this 2D game. So we're experimenting with that now. I think so. I think that's the idea. Is that if we can get these 3D elements working and kind of blending in there without popping out too much, I think that's the idea. Is that we'll go in and start doing that more and more.
Whoa, color. Oh, there's a mom. Hey, hi, Mom. She's got hair that comes off of the crystal ball.
Oh, I guess last week was really my first time, my first week where I really got to spend a lot of my time on Reds. It was really fun. Basically, Lee's been working really hard getting the environment white boxed so you can actually just walk around. And I'm just following behind him, wiring up the basic puzzle structure as it comes in. Yeah, this is the first piece of color art we've gotten. It's a rough color, but still amazing. It really reminds me of you have a giant art book, hardcover picture book in front of you, and just turning the page and being really immersed in the art. With the old pixel-based adventure games, they didn't have this camera flowing over things and zooming in and panning out as much. And this really feels like I'm being guided through this this really beautiful experience. So that's what's really captured my imagination so far, is this story is just being presented in such a beautiful way. I'm really excited to see how far we can push that. Let me just load up a certain level, because I think, I'll open up the galley. Yeah, the bedroom and the galley have the rough color. It's amazing. It's super cool. Look how rough this is, but there's still this epic scale. You're supposed to be floating out in space in a spacesuit, but everything. But man, this really blew me away when I saw that.
So yeah, I'm excited to talk to Bagel when he comes in and just be like, awesome job, man.
So yeah, I guess we can just the lighting's down here and just try to tie it a little in with that one, because I feel like these are kind of different. I mean, they're not totally different. Like I feel like this color, I kind of like this being more white. I feel like this is a little too orange, but I mean, I guess it's because of the orange light. But still, yeah, maybe a little bit more yellow. Hey, Dan, I'll get him later. But yeah, man, I just say go for it.
It's a really good learning experience. I really like Bagel's style. Yeah, he drew like a really awesome style guide that went pretty in depth to like the different areas of the ship. You know, the vibe each one should give off, and like the color palettes, and a lot of the reference he was using to drive that look. So like the play area, living area, utility area, and then there's an off limits area for later in the game. He took that and then did some even more like specific breakdowns with just a bunch of inspirational images that with like shapes and colors that he liked. So.
I always go to orange and brown and red is like my shit that I always fucking do. I mean, I feel like it's a little crutch that I have. Not like a crutch, but like it's like my go-to color all the time. So, but yeah, man. Okay, you can nail it. Your colors are awesome.
And I'm excited to see the space stuff starting to come together too, because Tim just delivered the dialogue for the boys' like first segment of the game, and it's amazing. It's hilarious, and you can so easily see how fun it's going to be to play through. Yeah, but like reading through it, like I don't see any holes. Like I feel like
it's fucking
a gameplay programmer could script that all up now without needing any questions, which is awesome.
So no questions will be allowed.
Working.
The Spaceship Boy stuff is easier. Like the basic setup of it leads it to. It's funny because it's just there's more humor in it, and you would think you could just make everything funny equally, but like the boy stuff is just naturally funnier because he's all alone with his mom. The tension between him and his mom, and then all the little robots and all the silly scenes he finds himself in. That I have to figure out something for the girls' world that makes it that easy to put jokes in there. Here's a picture of the climax of the game. Do you want to see my pictures? Total spoiler right there. Can you see that?
Yeah, I think that the change that I've seen the most is Tim, you know, absolutely, because he seems really motivated to kind of get things going. And also he's getting really close to the point of the entire game's designed out. And I think that will be a pretty big milestone.
Lemon. The Juice Fast is all part of, you know, New Year's comes around, you make a bunch of resolutions, and it's, my resolution was not to die before my daughter got into college. And also watching this documentary and seeing my gut enter the room like 5 minutes before I did was just like, gotta do something about that. So now I look all shrunken and my face, neck's all wiggly, so you just can't win. You just can't win, and I got a gallstone probably, so. Just lose-lose scenario documentaries. Oh yeah, and I need a glass. Does anyone else want juice? Yeah, I used to get a lot more sleepy in the afternoons, and I don't know if that's coffee or if that's just being super fat. I pack up some juice to take with me. Cheers. How much weight did I lose while I was drinking that? Did you notice? Did you see like shrinkage? Like, because according to the internet, I'm like, I weigh 30 right now. Well, one of the sites said my weight should be 160 pounds. And I started this at 260. So I'm down 30 pounds.
What?
You have to come shave off my beard.
I don't know how to shave.
Well, there's a time in every girl's life when she needs to learn how to shave. Here we go. Here we go. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. This is terrible. This is a horrible mistake. Look at that. I used to just grow a beard every Christmas, like a Christmas beard to start around Thanksgiving. Ray got me started on that, and then One year I grew the Christmas beard and I gained so much weight while I had it on that when I went to shave it off, I was like, holy crap, where's all this hiding? And I was like, I'm gonna grow it back. Because you actually believe that if you grow a beard, you can totally hide the fact that you're fat. No one will figure it out. I didn't mean to look at the people with beards when I said that. And then I was like, when I get down to that weight again, I'll shave it off. And so I shaved it off. See, I'm done with this. Try and get respect in a meeting. Well, I think here's the new design, you guys. Okay, this is my look from like the 90s. This is most of the 90s. Okay, I'm gonna go all the way, you guys. Whew. If you think about it, the car is just a metaphor for my body. They're both essentially really good looking, but they've been, neglected a little bit over the years. It's got some scratches. There's a big knife hole in the top of it, just like me. It's a little rusty. It doesn't start in the morning. It's full of gas. Et cetera, et cetera. And my car is something that I've been just looking at. I should really take care of that eventually. Kind of like oh, I should really lose this weight eventually. So I tweeted anyone know a good mechanic? And of course, John Romero and Brenda Romero are like, we have this guy who's perfect for a Mopar, which is what my Barracuda is. And I went down there, and John showed up. And of course, I'm all excited about getting my car fixed. And then John pulls up in this amazing, pretty much brand new, Roadrunner, 68, 69 Roadrunner. And it's all shiny. The engine is cleaner than anything in my house. You could eat off of it. It's beautiful. And my car's sitting there all sad.
Yeah, good.
My sad old car.
Come on, John, you gotta know how to
Which brings about a whole bunch of different issues for me. Why aren't I rich like John Romero? Next year, I'll get on that. This year, I'm just gonna get the car fixed. And I started feeling the money flow out of my body as the guy was talking about all the work he wanted to do on it.
Yeah,
How expensive it's gonna be. I just wanna get it running. So I need this game to be a hit to get out of the debt I'm gonna accrue by getting that car running again. I think the situation with our cars really shows our levels of financial success in the industry. And then John took me for the most terrifying drive of my life.
Jesus Christ.
It was just in the car, it hit the gas, and it felt like a sledgehammer just punched into the back of my neck, just snapped back, ah! And then John's driving. I'm sure John is a really good driver, but I'm not 100% sure of that. I thought I was gonna die. Yeah. Thanks for the ride, John.
Who are you? The baby.
All right. I know I don't have the authority anymore. Just look at me. You'll get used to it. I shaved the beard. I went on a diet. I fixed the car. I'm getting my writing done. It's just a new, all new me. For a couple months. Then I'll just go back. Reds, let's go to the projects. Reds, we finished the sprint on Friday, and we're now looking at the build and trying to see how we get it ready to actually play test, and maybe a Hoff-style play test with you guys. We would like to do that. Maybe even, soon. Soon, let's just say soon.
That stands for Hour of Fun. It's something that's been happening here at Double Fine for a long time.
All right, everyone excited about the Hoff? First Hoff. Who's new? Raise your hand if you've never been at a Hoff or Hoff break. So you've all done Hoffs before. Let me tell you about the Hour of Fun. So way back on Psychonauts, we found a lot of people had not played the game. Some of the animators had never booted it up and played it. I was like, how are we going to understand our game unless everybody plays it? So we had the mandatory Hour of Fun on a Friday. Everybody had to stop working and play the game for an hour. And then we did this thing where we met afterwards and asked everybody what they thought. And it was really terrifying to have people actually talk about it, but really good because we got a lot of good feedback. And so we did it all through Brutal. We'd play the game and then everybody would just get to say whatever they felt about it. When you're milling around, talking to people, we tried not to influence people too much when they're playing the game because we'd really like to get, I think the most important feedback is getting people to talk about what they're trying to do. Because that's the stuff you miss in adventure games a lot is like they're dragging this object that doesn't make any sense. And they're like, oh, well, because everyone knows the bananas are flammable and I'm just putting it in, and you're like, oh, God. Like, we never thought of that. So catching what people are trying to do, getting them talking out loud is really good. For the most part, just watching, observing people. And we don't try not to, there's a tendency you want to explain, like, oh my God, that's going to be much better when you play. Don't worry about it, that's going to be really great. Just don't even bother with that. Just let them hate the game. Because, the next half, they'll be like, oh my God, you got so much more improvements in. It was great. Okay, it's going to be exciting. Woo! Everybody will be playing the game and then meeting afterwards to say, I don't like this game. Or I love this game. Then we'll also have an anonymous survey where people can say, I just don't like Tim or whatever.
So we're going to be doing that on the Cloud Colony this afternoon. We've been working to kind of polish that level up a bit and get a lot of the details in there that a first-time player would need to be able to understand what's going on.
So the main things are really just make it playable. Like, can you basically go through the entire Cloud Colony without needing to reload the game and stuff like that? Well, the major things that I'm focused on is mostly crashes. Really, it's kind of anything that seriously goes wrong under the hood, where stuff just falls over and dies. And it's good. We got test support last week a little bit, so finally testers playing the game and looking at stuff, and they find things, which is good, and then we can go in and fix those, hopefully.
Yeah, we finally got testers on the game, so they've been finding bugs and putting them in our bug database for us and stuff to fix.
Before I started working as a tester, I would basically spend 8 hours a day playing video games every day. And now that it's my job, I come home and I still look at a computer monitor, but I don't really feel like playing games that I've been excited for. In fact, I think it actually made me less excited for certain games. I'm only excited for games that I really love, whereas before I was like, oh, I kind of like that game. I might buy it and I'll play it. It actually made me more selective of the games that I would actually beat nowadays. And it takes a lot for a game for me to actually complete it now. So yeah. Before, there was an issue where you pick up the ladder from that kid, and then you pick up the egg, it would just crash the game for some reason. Oh, there's that. She just shoots in the top of the ladder. She doesn't have any pupils for some reason.
Very often it's a kind of big shaky house in a way. If you push it at the wrong place, it would fall over. Just the way it is. But yeah, the trick is to find all those places that the user can directly influence, directly or indirectly, and make sure that those are fail-safe, and then you're good.
Okay, thank you for coming to our very first HOF. We have the build ready to go. Some of you might have installed it already. Oliver sent out a mail. I copied it on my mail. So you can just install it on your computer, and it should just magically run if you click on the run batch file. It is a point-and-click graphic adventure. Yeah.
They don't make those are dead.
Yeah.
Those are dead.
Adventure games are not dead.
Thank you. It has been almost 1 year since we launched our Kickstarter, by the way, and now we're having our first HOF. And so we have done a lot of stuff to get this adventure game engine up and running and working, and we have a several room area of what's called the Cloud Colony to play, and we'd like to watch you play it.
If it crashes, please come to any of the Reds programmers. We can help you, hopefully. Also, if it crashes during the game, which hopefully it won't, please don't. If you press F1 and then go to load, you can restore the previous game state.
Okay, see you later. We'll call you back in here in about half an hour.
Yeah. I'll come look at it with you.
What, you didn't find a bug, did you? What? You didn't find a bug, did you?
Well, the second half hour
Hello.
comes later when you're thinking about it.
Soften the blow of failure.
Yeah.
fucking pumped up. Rudy's out. I had something up to, I had some choices, right? I said one to him. I think it was like, who's Jesse or something like that, right? And then he said it, and I thought it would take me back to where I could ask something else, like something else about the town or something like that. But I guess I'm going down to talk to a tree or something like that.
Man, I don't know what's the first thing to get.
You gotta talk to him.
What to say? How do I kill this guy?
All the other ones are good though. Have you seen the one here? If you go ahead. Nothing.
We were talking about.
We're talking about you. Just keep going. They updated the one here. If you aren't coming up that ladder, it's really nice.
Adventure games are very quiet during ops. A lot of thinking going on.
Yeah.
Oh, Drew crashed it. What? You can crash it.
Do you know, what was the last thing that you did? Do you remember?
I just went down the ladder, and it zoomed in on her, and the cursor appeared, and then the arrow appeared, and then it just froze.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with that crash, but for some reason.
This is what happens when I went here. So okay, this is where it crashed. So
okay.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
That's the other thing. I let Tony play Visual Studio in debug, and he couldn't reproduce it in debug. So it's release only, XP only.
That sounds like a fun bug to fix.
It's like, oh gosh, it'll be fun.
That's the prettiest thing too.
Hello, hello.
Who did that?
Hello, thank you for playing. Thank you for playing Reds. The first people who ever played Reds. Patrick, you look sad there for a second. Did you play? Yeah.
The game is extremely charming. It's really good. But there's just small things like I wanted to speed up some of the lines when they were repeating. I wanted an explanation of what was in my inventory.
The area, sometimes I think it was a little unclear where the camera would pan and where it wouldn't. Also, just visually, maybe it wasn't clear if there was like, hey, there's more down there, or there isn't. Definitely, that was a big one.
I definitely had camera issues. When it stops working, you're like, oh, like I can't go. You know, it's like I'm walking to the edge of the screen and nothing's happening, and it gets really confusing. So, I mean, I guess it's just like a little buggy in some of those areas. But yeah, just no camera bugs. I would suggest. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Just eliminate the camera bugs.
Obviously, the background art is incredibly gorgeous. The whole game is really beautiful, but the specific style of the art means everything just looks like part of the background, and I don't get that feeling that I often get in adventure games of like, oh, these are hotspots, I should be clicking these things. And then when there were things that I thought I should be able to click on, like a big nest of eggs or something, instead my character would just try and path to like a plane behind it and go around because it's not actually clickable. So I just felt like the game was discouraging me from trying to actually interact with things and find things, which is, like, to my memory, what playing adventure games, that feels like a big part of it. And I felt like this game didn't want me to do that.
And I'm a strong believer in just having a thick skin about feedback. Like, because when I've done writing in a writing group, and you get together and you read your stuff, and people give you feedback, and you should say thank you when they say something bad about your script, because that's a thing that if you can turn it around, now makes your script better, or your writing better. So any feedback we get, even if it's negative, is like a gift, because that's just an opportunity to make the thing better. And it's better you hear it from your team than a game reviewer or someone in the public.
As I just was explaining the dialogue, I kind of got a better sense of like, oh, I want to kill the creature, but oh, I guess the next time the creature's going to be there is in the shell mound, and oh, I guess I need the sap to attract the creature in shell mound, and now I need to take the tram to get there. And so I liked how it was a very natural progression just by talking to people without even having to solve puzzles, just to figure out what I wanted to do as the character.
And I agree that it has like a kind of an open-ended quality, but I definitely would have appreciated some more like concrete goals.
A little more back and forth between the characters, each kind of revealing a little bit of their world to each other.
Yeah,
but that might have filled you in a little bit.
I think I especially noticed it when I was talking to the Harmony dude, and it was just like everything that he said was just like, oh my god, that's another thing that I don't know about. So, like the whole world felt super alien and just super weird.
So you really have to get good at trying to like pry out of them what their experience is. Like if they think, well, this dialogue sequence is too long, but really it's that the music that was playing is looping too much while they're doing it, or the dialogue is too long, and you know, just you've got to take all that feedback and try to turn it into a useful task to make the game better.
It sounds like partly you were just like when you were talking to the elder, you were just kind of feeling some exposition fatigue, right? Like
yes,
he had lots to tell you, and I don't know, spreading that out somehow, or just yeah.
And it was like single word questions that you're clicking on to like further progress. Like
Metal Gear.
Yes, it totally reminded me of Metal Gear. I didn't want to say that.
Exactly. Well, we're going for a Metal Gear thing.
Obviously.
I found the cardboard box. That was great. That was pretty good. Most of it was directed towards stuff that we just know we have to do anyway, that is already on the list to get done. Everyone been through Hops before?
Hops played really well.
I was gonna say, watching it through other people's eyes, I was really proud of how much work that you guys got done, because it was like the girl had an egg on her head and shoes on her feet, and she was kicking up dust and she was climbing ladders, and I was like, this game is way too complicated. Who came up with all this stuff? Okay, so we'll start the email thread about this. Thanks for everyone hustling to get the build running. It worked great. I was very proud of it. It was awesome. I hope no one's feelings got hurt. There's some like, yeah, I do need to clarify the goals of the main character. That's gonna be hard to do. I just more work for that one. But there's nothing that came up that was really terrifying. Like, oh God, how we, you know, when you're doing a game that has a lot of physical action and stuff in it, sometimes people are like, it's just not, the sword play is not fun, you know? And then you're just like, oh, how are we gonna solve that? Just, you know, there's just another iteration around. But I think everything that was said can easily be turned into a task that we can use to make the game better. So that's good. I appreciate you guys playing it. Thank you for playing. Thank you for staying and chatting. And thank you for clapping. Whoa, woo! Awesome. Thanks for coming. Fill out your surveys. Thank you. And some people are looking for a different experience. Like you can tell some people are really into just progression and beating a game, which is not necessarily what I mean, adventure games are kind of about that, but they're also for enjoying the ride. So hopefully make it as enjoyable as possible. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for playing.
Hey, it's nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
I like it. It's really good.
Yeah, well, awesome. Thanks for playing. Cool.
It's awesome. I'm excited.
Oh, that's nice. This is Brad. He doesn't mean that. He's gonna say something really mean. It's not as good as Iron Brigade. Okay, cool, awesome. So just slap my face.